Ben Leet. You're going to be at MRMW Berlin. I've seen you do interviews with Jack, so I'm going to be really looking forward to meeting you. Can you tell us a little bit about MRMW and what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, sure. So we've done MRMW a couple of years running now, both sides of the Atlantic. I guess USAMP is a big proponent of mobile research, and it's always good to attend to hear other ideas, to find out what the industry's talking about. We've seen some big changes over the last year or two just in terms of the perception of mobile research and what mobile can and can't do. So I'm pretty excited to listen to some what sound like riveting, innovative speeches. So it's going to be a good week.
MRMW has been going since I think 2010. How many have you been to? You were at London last year, weren't you?
London last year was my first personally,
Okay.
and then we do MRMW events in the US as well. So we did one in Atlanta, I think you did earlier this year. So this is going to be our second European event.
Okay, and I'm actually going to be at this year's one in Berlin, doing some interviews. What should I expect? Because it will be my first time going to a market research event ever.
Okay. I think you should expect to see a range of different topics and different kind of presenters and speakers from last year. Quite a lot of it was mobile methodology, so there were some really good presentations about what you can and can't do with mobile technology. I'm expecting a little bit more of the same this year. The presentation I'm going to do is not necessarily advocating mobile over online, but we're running right now some field work to compare mobile versus online methodology. So I don't know what the results are going to look like yet. It's going to be very interesting to see the differences between the two modes, and hopefully we'll get some conclusions in terms of what can and can't be done and should and shouldn't be done mobile versus online. So I think we should expect a bit more of that this year. We are conducting call it a parallel study, mobile versus online, US versus UK as well. So effectively we've got 4 cells. It's pretty simple. It's about crisp purchases, or as the Americans would call them, chips. We tried to find a flavour that's divisive, so we're going to use cheesy garlic bread flavour chips in the US, prawn cocktail flavour crisps in the UK. The idea being a divisive kind of flavour should elicit a little bit more of a response, a bit more of the emotional side. We're then going to look at the differences between mobile and online. So part of the study is in-store. So it's how easy were those crisps to find, what was the packaging, where were they located on the shelves. With mobile, we can do that in the moment. With online, we're obviously relying on recall. So we'll see if there are any differences and whether there's any recall bias online versus mobile. And then the next phase will be consumption. So attitudes towards consumption, the flavour of the crisps, the packaging, how they make them feel. And again, if mobile is closer to the moment they're consumed, we'll probably get differences in answers to online. But I don't know. I don't know what the data is going to look like. As I said, we're currently fielding now, so we've got people out there buying the products and consuming the products today, tomorrow, over the weekend, and Monday. So we'll know in a week or so what the data looks like.
I noticed USAMP's ice bucket challenge, and you went in it, Ben. I was wondering where your ice bucket challenge was.
Good question. So I know the US guys in LA have done an ice bucket challenge. I think our Indian team has done one. I'm staunchly trying to avoid it for the UK team. It's too cold. The weather's not good enough here. If I lived in India, I'd be all over it.
I thought it was pretty funny.
We're USAMP. We're accepting the ice bucket challenge from OpenView.
What's happened or changed in the past year to do with sort of mobile research?
I think quite a lot has happened. I think there's more of an acceptance that mobile is going to be part of the market research mix than there was even a year ago, especially if we look at agency side. I think agencies are starting to realise that there's a bandwagon out there that they have to kind of jump on, and that bandwagon has been driven by the consumer. The consumer lives on the mobile device, and if we want to talk to those consumers, we have to get into the world. So I think agencies are kind of figuring that out. I've seen more of a lean to qual though. So I guess more in your kind of world, the kind of the video type responses that you can get on mobile. I've seen agencies in particular very keen on that, less so on the using mobile for quant data collection side. So that seems to be an interesting lean that I've seen over the last 12 months.
As you're talking, actually, one of the things that did come back to me that I thought was interesting, I don't want to go out on a limb and say it was you, but I feel like it might have been, but maybe it wasn't. One of the things I remember was that people use a mobile all the time, and even when they're watching TV, and there was, was that you?
I've certainly spoken about that before.
Yeah. And they were saying that basically, you know, so you've got the TV screen going, you've got your phone. What were they paying the most attention to? Mm-hmm. And I think my impression was that they were using the mobile the most. So actually, they were actually using the mobile surfing, and the TV was secondary to that. You know, is that something?
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that. We've certainly seen that, and what we've also seen through the mobile studies that we've done when people are in their homes is actually more detail with things like open ends. Comment boxes and videos than we would even on traditional online desktop. And I think that's caught a few researchers by surprise. I think most people think it's easy to type on a keyboard. I disagree. The new generation can type, you know, WhatsApps or messages pretty fast on a phone. And we've seen quite a lot of detail come through from mobile. And they're probably sat there with a TV in the background, and yet the responses we get are great. So I definitely would agree with that.
Especially with innovations like the swipe keyboard, you know, where instead of you having to hammer in each letter, you're just making the gestures. Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. Ben, I really appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me. You definitely come across as one of the friendliest, nicest guys. When I've been, not saying that anyone else isn't, but you know, when Jack said, "Oh, you know, you were talking to Ben Leet," I was like, I knew who you were straight away. So yeah, hope I'll get to talk to you in Berlin. And yeah, thanks for coming on and having a chat with us.
No problem. I'm sure we'll speak in Berlin. I'm doing a mobile workshop as well on the last day. So
oh yeah,
that is going to be about I guess leaning towards the qual side of it, and talking about System 1 versus System 2 and how mobile can kind of tap into more of that System 1 thought process. So that could be something to catch up on maybe after I've done that as well. But I'm sure I'll see you at the event in a few days that we're there.